What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Said back with another episode. With that being said, hey, I know I done uploaded this, promised it to you, and trying to get this episode on toxic masculinity to you that I did at the Conscious Cafe with Mac West and Natriece and all the lovely panelists that were there that day. I just wanted to put it out there, getting all the good quality of it. You know what I'm saying? I recorded about 4 hours, but not all of it was quality. Stick with me, bear with me. Technical difficulties, you know how that goes. But here it is. With that being said, let's get into it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We prioritize that list of who am I going to talk to about what. So when it comes to approaching these young men, where I stand, I like to allow them to come to me where they are. Because I have some nephews that see me, they think I'm the coolest cat to ever exist. And then I got some that they just used to me. They're just like, that's my Uncle Red. He just here. Ain't nothing that special. He's been here my whole life. But that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. So when I got a young man who's interested in what I'm doing, he shows some type of pique and curiosity, I capitalize on it. And I ask him questions. That's another thing. And I include myself because now that I'm someone senior, us as older brothers, as the older men and older women as well, we got to start asking more questions. We got to actually be open to listening. Like, what's your experience? What do you have going on? What are your interests? I had my father. He recently just had a daughter, my first baby sister. Yeah. So his partner, one of her daughters had a birthday recently, and I went over there. We hung out. I played video games with them. As much as I've seen them, as long as I've known them, as much as I've seen them, it's the first time we did that. We played the same games, but I'm just over here being a dad in the same house. So I'm seeing them. We're interacting, but we in a whole different frequency. But for her birthday, I decided I'm gonna make sure I get my stuff done. I'm gonna sit down and we just gonna game. And they were so excited. I gave them some posters for free and just hung out with them. They were ecstatic. But until that day, I didn't know they were that interested in me. But that's because I got to their level and I asked them to be invited to their space. And I said, yo, can I come game with you guys? Can I play what you're playing? Can I talk about what you're interested in talking about? Because I got 1,000,001 things that I've done that they haven't done. So why would I emphasize that and start telling them stories about when they get to this age and they'll be able to do this and that? They don't care. They don't care. And that's the other thing. We got to actually accept where the care is. It's okay if they don't care about grades right now. They don't see its importance. But we have to accept that. You're not going to talk them into doing all their homework before they get home because they already don't want to do it because they don't care about that. But if you open up your minds to where they actually care and you can find that avenue to connect it to, oh, what? You like cats? Bro, all right, we'll go to the pet store and we can play with cats all day as long as you do your homework before 3 p.m. Cool. That's something I got from my mom because she listened enough to me to figure out that I love video games, not toys growing up. She bought me a bunch of action figures, a bunch of Hulk hands, all of that. I didn't play with it. Video games, I was lit. So she said, every time you get 100 on a spelling test, where are we going? GameStop. I was lit. Graduated with honors thanks to that. But that's a part of programming, and we need to understand that that's something that is. Our minds work just like computers. It's not a scary thing once we accept that it's already been that way. Just like when we accept what we are all masculine and feminine, there's no scary recalibrating we got to do as men or women. I don't got to change how I am because I've always been a mix of masculine and feminine. I've always been my mix. So if we take the time to understand who these young men are, with and without whatever outside influences, because it happens, I got a baby, but my baby's been held by his mother, his godmother, his great auntie, his grandmother, his other auntie. I can't control how they're gonna hold him, what they gonna smell like when they hold him. If they hopefully they wash their hands, but damn, I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't control all of that. There's too many barriers there. And then that's what ties back, and I hope I'm not going too long, but that's what ties back to the community and the culture. We need to have a unified, or at least start to build a unified sense of culture. If we don't need to follow the same book, we don't need to pray to the same name or whatever we call God, but if we all enter and understand that we want the same level of respect in a communal space, like these community agreements, then we can have that. And that's culture right there. That's culture. This right here is culture. The open exchange of ideas, of experience, and perspective. That's culture. But we need to be teaching it to the next generation that this is what we do. Because that's what they pick up anyway. If they see you do something every day, they're just going to think that's what we do. And if it's something that we don't do daily, we need them to know. We need to be comfortable saying, hey, let's talk about something that's important to us. Whether it be meditation, whether it be prayer, whether it be praying at a meal, whether it just be saying hello when you first see each other. You just make it known. But be ready for the conversation to be at their level, because it's not about saying it and it's not about being heard. It's about being received and understood. Make that the mission of communication, not being heard.
Oh, shut up and listen. Y'all, okay, next panel, y'all there, so. Let's teach the whole man against camera, y'all have, we gotta have sense, but.
I already know.
You just, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great words from everybody thus far. Going back to what Silas was speaking on, and growing up as a man, you know, as a young man, I feel like there are some things that are instilled in our community that we need to. I mean, like when I grew up, you know what I'm saying? It's not. I was more taught. I was asked more times, how many girlfriends do you have than anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, fact.
So that already, you know what I'm saying? I don't got it. You ain't got no girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. I'm saying, oh, I got one. Oh, you just got one girl? You saying, like, you know? So it's got, oh, I'm supposed to have two, I'm supposed to have three, I'm supposed to have four, this is how I'm supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? And another one, like, men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? So that teaches us from a young age to bottle up our feelings and to hold that in. And that's where the toxicity becomes, it starts to grow, because you learn to detach from your emotions. You learn to detach from those types of things, and to be tough, and to be, you know, you know, even if you go into a group of men, all men, you know what I'm saying, you kind of, you know, stick your chest out, hold your head up, you know what I'm saying? And there is that's necessary amongst men, but you know what I'm saying, it should be a respectful thing to where we each, you know, salute each other as kings, and not, oh, you know, he got on this, he got on that. We take the respect from being internal to being stuff external. It doesn't matter what your shoes look like, what you dress like, whatever it is, what really is going on with you, what really makes you is your heart, your mind, your soul. That is where the respect should come, not these superficial things, you know. And so that is where if I was able to look back at a young man and try to, if I had one chance to change this young man's life, that is what I would instill in him. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of like let him understand that all these things are superficial. This is not where it's supposed to be. This is not cool. It's really not cool. You know what I'm saying? This is destructive. This is toxic. This is where the toxicity comes from. But it's also hard these days because, I mean, in all actuality, who's a young person in here? Probably, I mean, besides the baby. You know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I got two 18-year-old girls. You know what I'm saying? And it's a totally different mindset. These kids have had screens in their hand. They have been programmed. They're looking at all this stuff. They're taking it all in. The music, the videos, the TikToks, the Snapchats, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the whatever it might be. That and you know, and now they have knowledge instantly at their. You had to ask your mama, hey, why is the sky blue? Oh, it's got da. And she could give you the wrong answer. You would never know. You know, you try to tell your kid that, and say, hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey whatever it is, they got it right there. They know, they know, or they think they know. It's not real knowledge. There's no substance to it. So we got our X set out, come together like this, have real conversations, feel each other, look at each other in the eye, and talk to each other, and heal each other's like energy, and make this thing flow. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, it's hard because that whole like this whole generation from this point to this point, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't have a lot of mothers like Jenna who are instilling that in their young kids, who have been that, and to go back to that, when I'm thinking about this whole toxic masculinity thing, like a lot of us black men don't, since they took the men out of the community, who's gonna teach us how to be men? We learn how to be men from women. You know? And so then we become adults sometimes, and we grow up and we kind of have an idea of what to do and how to be, and those putting these little pieces of the puzzle together. But at the same time, that feminine energy that hungers for that balance. And when it's not there, because we haven't learned that, we haven't been instilled in ourselves to how to nurture that and how to feed it. You know what I'm saying? And so when she's kind of like, you know what I'm saying, what she really want to say is, hey, love me, give me some attention, and you know, whatever. It might come out as, let me go through your phone and see who else you're talking to, or why you ain't coming home? Okay, well, babe, you know, calm down. You know what I'm saying? And it just takes us on a course that is not necessary, you know? So that's where we start to battle each other. That's where we start to conflict with each other. And I mean, that's really, we gotta cut that out. Thank you.
Man, y'all, we get into it. I'm gonna ask this next question next because this is real juicy. But before I get into it, I just first of all said you don't know my life. Okay? When I'm complaining to Mac, I usually call him Mac in public because we go by his artist name. But when I'm complaining to Marcus, it's not because you don't know my life. He spilled the beans.
Sounded good to me.
He said we just need some attention, and that's a lot of where that masculine energy comes out at home.
Like, for instance, at home, we was going through a fast about 2 weeks ago and things like that. And we recently started smoking weed as well. So a lot of emotions been up and down and things like that. And sometimes I was ignoring her, and sometimes she was ignoring me. But I just gave her space to go through it, you know, and things like that. And she gave me my space to go through it. But then after we went through it, she told me, like, sometimes I just need a hug. I was like, okay, I hear you. But when your body language say the hell away from me, that's what I'm gonna do too. You know, at the same time. So I was like, well, next time give me some type of form of communication. Like, open your arms, like, you know, like I need a hug or something like that, or I just need some love, I just need some energy. You know, so I'm an only child. I had no brothers and no sisters or anything like that. And so my father was like my biggest inspiration growing up. But as well, I had to look at my grandfather, both my grandfathers, my uncles, my big cousins and things like that. And I had to get like how to become a man through various, you know, options. And then of course my mother and my aunties. There's only four boys in my family. It was only 4. So the rest is women. So I had a very, you know, balanced, you know, situation. But also being the only child, the TV was one of the biggest inspirations. And the TV showed me a lot of different ways to be a man and things like that. So I had to be very cautious of what I digest into my psyche as well as what I put out. You know, because you can lose yourself thinking you're supposed to be something that you're not. Right. You know, instead of being who you are internally. You know, so your parents know how to, you know you the best. You know, your parents will guide you the right way, you know, all the time. So, you know, it's just like keeping our minds, you know, on the prize, you know, and being thankful and showing gratitude for our loved ones and for our elders at all times.
Shay, thank you for that. And the one thing I'll add to what he said is that, in all honesty, I did have to tell him when he was like, well, when you just need a hug, let's create a safe word. He was like, or do this, right? And I'll be honest, I was like, I can't. He was like, well, why? Because a lot of my masculine energy comes from, or a lot of my strength, my poise of being able to speak, my, just all the things, right, that people say are like, oh, wow, right? Yeah, that's the masculine part of me. That's me showing up to get the money, look out for our family, represent, you know, what I believe the hood should be about. That's the brave part of me. That's that Tupac part of me. The Maya Angelou part of me, quiet, somewhere wanting to lay over a bed and be poised, not wanting to have to explain, tired of having to let her body be the moneymaker. I don't know the words. The feminine part of me, the part that's vulnerable and needs the most love, don't know how to say, help me. And so I just told him, I was like, well, I don't know how to say it. I just want you to fix it. I just want you to fix it, and I just trust you to fix it. And so his way to say, well, we're going to fix it was to be like, well, I'm being more patient with you. And he turned around and he made me a love song. So it's not like I'm going to fix you by doing it for you and watching you to figure out your signal, but I'm going to make you feel safe. I'm going to remind you what I like about you. I'm going to show you where I see that you are soft and feminine and where you do invite me in. I'm going to give you all the opportunity for you to figure out the code word. Because you're going to find the word. That's basically what I took from them. You're going to figure it out. But we have to have that balance, right? So when we talk about community, this is what, like, we both have to be vulnerable. He had to learn, as good as a lover boy as he is, he's not that great with affection and being a husband, a helpmate, a man. You're great at the lover boy part because that's what you've been taught. You've been taught that sex means I care about you. Sex means I'm paying attention to you. No, sex is a bonus that I'm giving you for all the other things you gave me that I want. That's just, baby, be clear. We're not right? But I had to also be vulnerable enough to say that to him, which was hard because I'm the girl, the round the way girl who was taught your body is a mechanism. Your body is a tool. You don't give up tools and you don't let them get used properly, then you get put away in the shed. It takes both sides to use all energies. So thank you for busting me out there.
No problem.
Do you want to go ahead and read this next question? Oh,
One second.
Audience input. Yes, so sorry.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charlene. I go by Char. I wanted to just really, oh wow. You mentioned programming, and I just wanted to touch on that because a lot of the times it came up when we were talking about when did this happen, when did the shift come in, but we don't talk about a lot of the times how toxicity is programmed.
Right.
Or how toxicity or how survivorship is even programmed. And if I can give an example, so my dad's ex-wife now, but this is, I passed to be maybe about one at the time, and my dad and my mom were together, and her mother went to her, I just recently found this out, and said, you need to do whatever you need to do to get that man, because he has to get a job. And so she did whatever she needed to do to get that man because he had a job, and that was what her mother told her. So in the interim and whatever happened like there, she was so, because her thought was on that survivorship. My mother told me that I need to survive. So I'm going to do what I need to do to keep this man in my space and where I need to keep him, which caused, a real bad rift between the two of us. We were close, but at the end, I stopped speaking to my man because he chose his wife over me. And the thing is, what we don't understand about that toxicity being programmed is that if you don't get out of that, if you don't want to heal from that, it is going to be passed down. It is going to be passed down. It's one of the reasons why I created Growth Through Healing, because so many of us don't know how to get out of that because we were brought up into it. Somebody taught us to do this, just as she was taught. And so I got angry at my dad at a lot of things. There was things that she would do as, I was growing up. And he didn't know. And you know when he found out? When I went to therapy 3 years ago, and I told him 3 years ago. And it's so insane to me that, and she's still the same person today. We don't speak at all. I had that relationship with him. When my brother passed away, we spoke briefly. But I guess in the conversation that we had together, he went back and said something to her. It's years later, but he said something to her. And she just doesn't speak at all. And to show how when you don't heal from certain things, and when you don't move beyond certain things and do the work within yourself, how toxic you can be. I went to New York. I'm from New York originally, grew up in New York for my godmother's funeral the other week. And I know she doesn't speak to me, but she had a relationship with my daughter. And she walked right past her, a child, because of her anger with me. So it goes to say that if you don't start working within yourself, you are going to repeat the same patterns because within me, I'll sit here and tell you that I was as toxic individual. And I didn't relate so many things back to, I dated this older man that I had no business being with, years older than me, because I didn't have a relationship with my father. And to have that conversation and to sit down and speak. But if I didn't do that, would I still carry that anger that I held, in me for so long? My dad and I didn't have a conversation. My daughter's 13. We started speaking the day he walked into the hospital when I gave birth. And never had a conversation about what happened until 3 years ago. So it's important to know that sometimes some of these things are programmed, and it doesn't make it right at all. But you at some point have to stand up and say, I'm not going to follow these toxic traits. I want to get the help within myself. What is it that I need to do? Because if I'm not willing to do it, then I'm just going to be stuck in this one place.
Thank you.